Teaching undergraduate software engineering, Xamarin mobile app development during the COVID-19 pandemic. Mohammed Javed Ph.D., Michael Estep Ph.D., Xamarin University. Teaching process and philosophy, Introduction. CS 4204 is an undergraduate software engineering lecture/lab course taught in a computing department at a regional Oklahoma university. Theoretical aspects are covered during lecture periods, with related practical hands-on mobile app development taking place during dedicated lab periods. In previous years, labs were exclusively taught face-to-face in a department Mac lab. However, in fall 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic placed the university in a position to establish course attendance policies that included possible aspects of distance learning. Mac computers can be expensive, with most students in the computing department not owning personal Macs. Therefore, a decision was made to change the structure of the course before the start of the fall 2020 semester, to make it possible for students to either learn in the classroom, or if necessary, to learn in a distance education setting. This included changing to a platform that would allow mobile app development during labs on both PC and Mac machines and finding an integrated development environment, IDE, used in cross-platform development with mobile app emulators. The focus of this study is on the lab session processes and perceptions relating to issues of teaching CS 4204 during the pandemic. University COVID-19 policies. Based upon state and CDC guidelines for COVID-19 in fall 2020, the university rearranged Mac lab classroom space where students were sitting distances of 6 feet apart. Students were required by the instructor to wear masks whenever they entered the classroom, or if there was interaction that required students to get closer than 6 feet to each other or the instructor. Once students and the instructor were seated, they could remove masks, but were asked to put the masks on again if close interaction occurred. Also, students were allowed that semester to select whether to attend face-to-face lab sessions, or to attend virtually via Zoom, especially if there was any possibility that students may have contracted COVID-19. This necessitated serious rethinking of how to teach a CS 4204 lab section if some students did not have access to the Mac lab computers anymore. Platform utilized. After some research and deliberation, the CS 4204 instructor selected the industry standard IDE Microsoft Visual Studio for class software instruction and development. Virtual Studio was available in a free community version that could be installed on all the Mac lab computers. It was also available as a free download for students and could be installed on both Mac and PC machines. The open-source Microsoft Xamarin was also utilized. Xamarin extends .NET tools, languages, and libraries and can be used in the building of cross-platform iOS and Android mobile apps. Xamarin is designed as much as possible to code once in C#, with that language then being translated to native languages to run on both iOS and Android devices or emulators. Coding for iOS also requires Apple's IDE Xcode to be installed on a Mac. Coding for Android had no such restrictions and could be performed on PC or Mac. Xamarin Forms was also utilized, which incorporates XAML and C# either alone or in combination. XAML uses HTML-like structures similar to those used in web development. Instruction format. It is important to note the CS 4204 instructor knew most of the students had access to PCs that could be used at home for development, but not Macs, which can be more expensive to purchase. Therefore, the instructor gave students a choice to select Xamarin development for either iOS or Android, or both, using actual devices or using provided software emulators. In this way, if students could not physically come to the labs due to COVID-19 related reasons, they still could participate virtually over Zoom during scheduled lab sessions. Also, students would be able to work on labs outside of class time as necessary. Xamarin has many free resources and tutorials online to help budding and more experienced developers learn the platform. This was very helpful for CS 4204. The instructor was able to assign existing tutorials, which were sometimes modified by the instructor. Specific sets of tutorials were chosen, building upon previous materials. The purpose of this was to help students be competent enough with Xamarin to build an end-of-semester culminating mobile app project. The following section will discuss tutorial and project examples. Teaching implementation, Xamarin tutorials. Xamarin has tutorials that are self-guiding, allowing students to proceed at their own pace. The CS 4204 instructor selected multiple sets of these throughout the fall 2020 semester that seemed to be a good fit for exposing students to a broad range of mobile app structures, where several could be incorporated into the culminating project. Examples of tutorials chosen with definitions includes stack layout, positions child elements in a single line which can be oriented vertically or horizontally. Grid, arranges views in rows and columns. Label, displays text. Button, a button that reacts to touch events. Entry, a control that can edit a single line of text. Editor, a control that can edit multiple lines of text. Image, view that holds an image. Xamarin tutorials continued. Collection view, presents a collection of items, for example, lists with images. Pop-up, display alerts for users to make a choice or to guide users through a task. File, new, user enters notes to save and delete. Navigation, navigating from one page to another page. Database, store data in a local SQLite.NET database. Styling, style a page with XAML styles. Views to set values, checkbox, date picker, slider, stepper, switch, time picker. Forms gallery, dozens of existing templates displaying on pages with XAML, and separately the same displays with C#. Modified tutorials in GitHub. Along with Xamarin tutorials, it was common for the instructor to assign labs where students would find code examples published on GitHub or integrate multiple previously learned structures into a single app. Utilizing GitHub was important for CS 4204, as it is ubiquitously used in software development circles for storing and sharing coding projects. GitHub is not immediately intuitive in terms of navigating to and retrieving individual files. Although code for individual files can be viewed, those files may not be available for download individually. It is sometimes necessary in the standard Internet GitHub interface to navigate up to a top-level folder to download a zip file containing many folders and files, just to get access to a wanted individual folder or file. Therefore, students need practice with GitHub. One example of such a lab assignment given to the students was to find and download a particular Xamarin solution from GitHub that contained code for creating a username and password, then after successful login would navigate to a new page. The students were then additionally required to add labels and an image to both pages. There were multiple similar types of assignments given throughout the semester, all for the purpose of leading to creation of the culminating end-of-semester project. Culminating project. As in previous semesters after the midterm, the students were assigned the culminating project, which they would work on until the end of the semester. The students were given the choice to work in small groups or work individually. The project purpose was to develop a mobile iOS or Android app including a minimum of the following features. Mobile app to sell a variety of printers. A portal for customers. A portal for administrators. Customer portal allows customers to view all printers or by category. Customers can select viewing details about specific printers. Customers can add or remove printers in a shopping cart. Culminating project, features continued. Before purchase, customers must either log into an existing customer account, or create a new customer account. For purposes of the assignment, account and order information would be stored using a database local to the device. During checkout, a buyer would make payment using a credit card, simulated. In admin mode, an administrator would provide login credentials. For purposes of the assignment, admin information would be stored locally using a database local to the device. Administrators can add, delete, and modify products and pricing information on printers for sale. Culminating project, features continued. Administrators can delete registered users and look up previous order information. The app must contain appropriate aesthetic elements making it appealing to use. The app must be easy to use and navigate. Coding must follow good practices to facilitate efficient post-delivery maintenance. Data input by users should be validated for correctness with appropriate error messages displayed. Example culminating project. The following figures and descriptions show a student-developed example of a completed Xamarin Android mobile app for the culminating project. Coding was performed in C#. Snippets of the code are provided here at the beginning to help the reader see the relation between code and the Android mobile screen, in this case using the Android emulator. On a home page, there is initial code to create 2 labels, 2 buttons, and a decorative image. The code also contains dynamic calls to create additional buttons depending on whether a customer or administrator has logged in. The code is shown in Figure 1 and corresponding Android screens are shown in Figures 2 to 4. Here is Figure 1, Dynamic C# homepage code. Here are Figures 2 to 3, Initial home page and home page with dynamic customer buttons. And here is Figure 4, Home page with dynamic admin buttons. Example culminating project, continued. The remaining figures will show the resulting Android screens in sequences of how the app would be navigated by customers or by administrators. From the initial home page, a customer can view products without logging in by selecting Products, followed by Category, and Printer Type, Figures 5 to 6. Here are Figures 5 to 6, Navigation to Product, and Selection of Printer Type. Example culminating project, continued. In the next example, Laser is selected, which would normally show a list of laser printers, but in this proof of concept there is just one. Selecting that choice then navigates to a page that describes the specific laser printer model. However, if the potential customer tries to add the printer to the shopping cart, an error message will display instructing the user to go back and log in, Figures 7 to 9. Here are Figures 7 to 8, Product homepage for laser printers, and detail page of a particular model. And here is Figure 9, User must log in first to add to cart. Example culminating project, continued. An existing customer must log in to be able to add printers to the cart, while a new customer must register before being able to add to the cart. For this example, it will be assumed that the user will be a new customer. After navigating back to the home page, the user would select the Login button, which will navigate to the Sign Up page. After completing required information fields, a message is given asking the customer to log in, Figures 10 to 11. Here are Figures 10 to 11, Sign Up page, followed by request for customer to log in. Example culminating project, continued. After the customer completes login, a message is given that welcomes and thanks the customer for logging in, Figure 12. Also, the home page will now have the extra buttons that were added dynamically pertaining to registered customers. Here is Figure 12, Welcome and Login Thank You message. Example culminating project, continued. Now the customer can navigate to select desired printers and add the printers to the shopping cart. Once added, a message will be given confirming the add, followed by the printer showing up in the cart, Figures 13 to 14. Here are Figures 13 to 14, Cart Addition Success message, and item shown in cart. Example culminating project, continued. After selecting printers for purchase, the customer can check out with address and credit card payment information, simulated. See Figures 15 to 16. Here are Figures 15 to 16, Simulated Credit Card Payment. Example culminating project, continued. Customers are also able to navigate to a history of their previous orders and navigate further into more details on specific orders, Figures 17 to 18. Here are Figures 17 to 18, Order History and Details. Example culminating project, continued. The project also contained similar working functionality that was available for administrators, with the addition of them being able to add, modify, or delete users, add, modify, or delete printer product lines, and view all previous customer orders. This is not shown here so the authors do not exceed the conference submission length guidelines. Discussion, student comments, CS 4204 End of Semester Idea Survey. Idea surveys are given to students each semester for anonymous evaluation of all courses taken at the university. CS 4204 students gave constructive views on their perceptions regarding the lab period and the use of Xamarin. I overall enjoyed the course and was really excited to take it. However, I found that the lab tutorials didn't really help in preparing me for the big, final project. I'm happy that we were given a lot of time to work on it because I felt like I had to teach myself a lot of the material, and what I didn't know, I had to ask others. I liked the final project. I just wish there were more tie-ins to the project itself that felt useful. Loved the course, and getting to know the Xamarin was awesome as well. The only thing that bugged me was the final project. I know the final project was supposed to push you to do more and be better, but I feel like it's over stuff we never went over in any of the labs or the lecture. I wouldn't have minded the project as much if we learned how to do it in the class. Student comments, idea survey, continued. I enjoyed the course a lot. Your flexibility helped me very much. I understand this course is to learn about the software development process, however I would have liked to be taught more about specific coding techniques. I understand the need for me to find the answers myself and to learn how to research things, but it feels like my programming is sloppy and I am doing things kind of ad hoc. I would like to know the professional way to program certain things. It is hard to find that on the internet. I wish the labs were more engaging with the professor showing us how to do stuff instead of having us read documents online. I know we talked about version control in lecture, but I wish we would have also gone over Git and GitHub more in lab, because that's very important for real-life software engineering jobs, for working in teams and having projects in remote repositories. Lab issues. Campus IT only supported Windows PC machines and not Macs. It was up to the instructor to set up and install software on the Macs in the CS 4204 lab. The Macs were only connected to the internet through campus wireless networks, which helped the campus IT department maintain cybersecurity. Therefore, the instructor was allowed to have administrative privileges with the Mac computers. Setup and maintenance of the lab Macs was time-intensive and tedious, especially when troubleshooting problems became necessary. Due to memory requirements, the app emulators used were sometimes slow to boot up and run, which was frustrating to students. There were a few students who had to Zoom into sessions from home due to COVID-related issues, but they were able to use PCs running Microsoft Visual Studio and Xamarin, along with Android emulators. Some students also had their own Android devices which can easily be set to developer mode, without being charged a developer fee, unlike iOS. This allowed Android phones or tablets to be connected to the PCs with the mobile app deploying directly and quickly on the Android devices. Conclusions. In the fall 2020 CS 4204 course, it was fortunate that the COVID-19 pandemic caused only minor problems. The instructor prepared for the worst-case scenario, where the course could have been offered in a totally distance environment. This in turn would have made MacLab access impossible. As it turned out, Xamarin development not only exposed all students to a professional software development experience, but also helped the few students that had to stay home due to the pandemic be able to continue with their work. Students did not provide any commentary on pandemic issues negatively affecting the learning process. Some students commented on the structure of the culminating project, in that tutorials and modifications did not seem as helpful when it came to putting the project together. However, it is interesting to note the approximately 35% of the CS 4204 students completed the project with 95% functionality or higher. 57% of the students completed the project with 70% functionality or higher. For an upper division undergraduate computer science course, the CS 4204 instructor was satisfied with such results. This is especially true when considering the course had to be totally restructured this way at the last minute due to the pandemic affecting university policy on course meetings and attendance. The COVID-19 pandemic is not totally over yet. Therefore, it is likely that the CS 4204 lab course will continue to be taught in a similar manner, due to the flexibility of Xamarin cross-platform development helping to facilitate the needs of the course and student learning. For further information, please see the following references.